So, hi. Today I want to tell you a little bit about how we get ourselves into bad mental emotional states. And when we understand how we get ourselves into bad mental emotional states, we can also start to understand how we get ourselves out of them. So, you may have already noticed that if you're in a bad state of whether it's anger or irritation, whether it's anxiety or fear, whether it's any kind of, depression or sad, any kind of negative emotion, right? You've already probably realized that you can't talk your way out of it. It's really difficult. And it's not effective, it's not fast, and it's not complete. Okay. So for some people, it helps to talk a little bit about their problems, but it doesn't really make them go away. Okay. So in NLP and also the kind of NLP that I work with, we're looking at a much more holistic approach. So we're looking not just at your thoughts and how you get yourself stuck in the problem through thinking and imagining and projecting, etc. But we work on these two other aspects of your being, maybe even three, that we tend to ignore when we have problems, and that is the body and the energy. And I said maybe four because there's also a spiritual aspect that I kind of bring in when we're working through from those, from the body to the energy into the more subtle energy body. So there is a kind of a spiritual growth that happens when you begin to transform negative emotions, and we transform them obviously into positive ones. Okay, so it's not just about moving them away and then just kind of having a flat line, but it's like, how can I grow and how can I develop more and more qualities in myself? So, what's going on? Why are we not able to talk our way out of problems? So, as I said, when we have a situation, a problem, or something that we struggle with, there's a few things that are going on that are not just our thoughts. Our thoughts play a huge part, but there's other things going on. So, for example, if you think of something that annoys you or upsets you, okay, so if you take a moment to really feel that, if you take a moment to really bring out that feeling, that negative feeling, whatever it is, frustration, anger, anxiety, whatever it is, if you really feel that, you'll notice it's not just a thought. There's something physical happening in your body. Okay. So you can talk your way out of it, but the feeling is going to draw it back in. Okay. So unless you work with the actual sensations in the body, you're going to be constantly bringing in the thoughts that correlate with that specific feeling. Okay. And the two work together. So our thoughts bring in feelings and our feelings bring in thoughts. And we end up undergo this sort of process where we're kind of dragging ourselves down. Okay. And whether it's into depression or whether it's into anxiety or any kind of emotion, we're actually fueling that process. So the first thing you need to know is like, is to figure out how are you fueling that process. Okay. And to do that, you need to kind of a little bit step out of it and a little bit observe. So I invite you to kind of notice what you're doing. So many of us get ourselves into these states by thinking, and the thinking is often words. So we're hearing ourselves speaking, or we're hearing, sentences in our heads, saying things, either we're having conversations with imaginary people or just having conversations with ourselves. Okay. So there's going to be a talk element involved. There's also going to be a visual element involved. So if we're angry about a specific being, a person, or a situation, we're going to be replaying that images of that person or of that situation. So there's going to be a visual aspect to it. And often this visual is sometimes just like a still image, and sometimes it's like a live image, so kind of like a video. Okay. And then all that then also creates a physical feeling in the body. And that physical feeling again fuels more thoughts, fuels more images, etc., etc. So what we do in NLP is that we look at all of these and we start to break apart all of them. Okay, we kind of we start to interfere with the matrix. Okay, and the matrix is our own way of understanding reality, right? So we start to kind of block things. So one of the things that's really easy to do is if you do have, like, for example, that sort of constant conversation, you can actually do things like imagine that you have a volume button and you can start to turn it lower and lower and lower and lower. Okay. You can also do silly things with it, like accelerate the speed. So imagine again that you have you're playing at a double speed. And so those voices start to go, Yeah. Okay. And that helps us begin to detach from them. If we're playing films or have images that are reminding us all the time of what's going on, we can start to interrupt those patterns, right? We can start to take those films and turn them into black and white old movies. We can actually take those images and just push them right back, like as far away from us as possible, and notice how that interferes with it. So we're actually kind of beginning to deconstruct those patterns that are going on. Okay. And the same thing with the body. And I love to start with the body because it's so powerful, right? If we have a physical sensation, if you know, if you're angry or something, it becomes physical. If you're depressed, you know, it becomes like, you know, it becomes a physical thing. And if we can start to shift the physical, then we can more easily begin to make new movies and make new conversations with ourselves. So I find that a lot more powerful to begin with sensations and, you know, begin with the images and the sounds rather than just saying, well, just talk yourself out of the problem. So it might help, it might, you know, have some benefit, but it's definitely not as powerful. It's definitely not as effective. And it's definitely not as transformative as working with all the different aspects of our being. And so if you're interested in that, have a play with it, you know, utilize it in your day to day. And if you want to learn more and if you want to have some help with it, uh, go to my website, www.galapo.org. I'll put the link in the description and book a free call, and we can see how I can help you work together. Sometimes we can get extraordinary results in really short times, like just even one session. Sometimes situations are a bit more involved and we need to kind of go and you know, deconstruct a little bit deeper. So yeah, get in touch. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to do a free call and we can see what we can do together. In the meantime, keep playing with it. There are more videos where I'll be giving more explanation about how to use this for different emotions. So I hope this is helpful for you, and I look forward to being in touch with you soon. Okay. Thanks. Bye bye.